What's up, everybody? This is William Games 1775, and what I have right here is a very old photo album. Back in February of 1998, my unit, Alpha Battery 11580A, 3rd ID out of Fort Stewart, was deployed to Kuwait. And no, we didn't sit at a camp or some established base. We were actually in the desert. During that time, Saddam Hussein had kicked out all the UN inspectors, and we received the call, say like on day one. We packed our bags, packed up the offices, and packed up the motor pool, except for the vehicles. And we were in a draw yard at Camp Doha like on day 6. That's how fast that we went. There was no warning. The military, when you're in the military, you must be ready anytime to be deployed to anywhere in the world, and we were there within 6 days. We got to Kuwait. We went to Camp Doha, got our vehicles from I believe they call a pre-positioned draw yard to get all of our vehicles, mostly Bradleys, a few Bradleys with the ODA tow missiles. I believe that's what they're called. I believe they're called ODA Bradleys. It's a track vehicle, has a 25 millimeter cannon on it. We got our 88 track recovery vehicle, and since ADA stands for Air Defense Artillery, we also had mostly Bradleys with the Stinger pods. And so I'm going to open this up, and as you can see right here, we were only there for 5 months, but man, it really felt like a year. So I'm going to open this up. I have not opened this photo album up in a year. It has some water damage. Somehow it got wet, and so these are some pictures I took. I was young. I took a bunch of random photos. I just want to go through it, show everybody. I hope the quality is okay for most people. These are not digital photos, so you're just going to have to excuse the loss of tech. Here's one of our Bradleys. Here are some of the folks that were in my platoon. We actually did a gunnery. After they called the mission off, we started training. And so we did a few tables at the range. This photo is really damaged. This was back at, not all of these photos are from Kuwait. Some of these photos are from the rear. Well, they're from Garrison. They were deployed with me, but some of these photos were either shot before or after. I remember this guy. Oh, no, this guy was named Davis. This guy was named Brown. This guy back here, man, I just forgot his name. It might come back to me. His name was Jones. He was a staff sergeant. If I look closely, I can probably see their name tags, name tapes. This guy back here was a Sergeant E5. I ran into a few of my colleagues years later at Fort Bliss, and I heard he became a command sergeant major. This was a meeting with the general. Really can't see the general, but there you can see our guidon. This was the human feces burning detail. I had to do that many times as a private. This was our, man, I forgot the model number of these, but this was a talk track. And it looks like a whole line of talk tracks too right there. If you look closely back here, I'll try to get close. Those were the Fox vehicles. Those were the NBC. Back then, it was called NBC, Nuclear, Biological, and Chemical. Now it's called Seaborn. Here we're playing a friendly game of football or something. No, maybe it was PT. I don't know. We did PT in our uniforms a lot. Here is one of our, looks like crap, but that is one of our makeshift sinks and stuff so we can do some oral hygiene. Here's a goofball who worked on the radar system for our Stingers. That's the bunker that we built. You'll see more pictures of that. Here we're playing a game of ball. I'm pretty sure of that because I believe that's a football. Here's me, 21 years old, and I'm putting sandbags down on the sides of a tent. Okay, this guy was named Dees. Rick Dees. I don't know if his first name was Rick, but we call him Dees Nuts sometimes. Volleyball, that's us playing volleyball. That is the old Army uniform, or the old PTs. This guy is our medic. It's amazing how much I actually remember. And there's our medic again. That guy was pretty cool. Here's this in our tent, hanging out in the tent. Man, it was so hot. So we actually went on a MWR trip. We went to a camel race. Man, that was something else. These guys were probably some rich Kuwaitis in their really old, I believe it's a Suburban. Man, they really like Chevys over there, especially the Caprices, the old ones of all years. They love those American vehicles. God bless their hearts. Spangler, his child, his wife. Man, I haven't spoke to Spangler in years. Man, this video is like 8 minutes long so far. This guy, Ezra, this guy could run like a 13-minute 2 miles. I remember this. They're playing around, made him with a funky haircut, and I took his picture. Here's me wearing the BCGs, the birth control glasses. I got LASIK years later, so I don't have to wear contacts or glasses anymore. Here's me hopping off that's me hopping off the bunker with my back then it was an M16 A2. I don't remember, but it was the long rifle. The mechanics, some of them had the M4s because they had a ride in the 88. And these guys, I really had some really good friends back then. Sunset in Kuwait, real beautiful. Okay, so you remember something called the Highway of Death in Kuwait? Then the president, then Bush Senior, right? Yeah, Senior, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. It was Senior. He told Hussein just to get out of Kuwait and don't take any of their weapons. You see here some cannons on something. I took these photos from the highway driving by. So they pushed all the broken stuff over here. All this stuff belonged to Saddam Hussein. Here's some more Highway of Death equipment. picture of a sunset with the tower. That's us goofing around. I'm not sure what they were doing. So these guys weren't really in our battery. They were attached to us, and they did something with radars. I think they had to do with the Stingers, because we also had the man packs too. We were with the headquarters platoon, so we always had the first sergeant and the commander with us. Here is Shipley, Sergeant Shipley. Excuse me, Sharpley. I believe, man, it's hard to tell. I believe he was sergeant. It's hard to tell. That looks like lieutenant rank, but you know, it's been so many years. So this is where we peed. Seems crazy, doesn't it? Those are my mechanics working on a vehicle. It looks like they're changing a tire. Here's Spangler digging out in the I'm in the MRE box, probably for some M&Ms. Excuse the camera. I don't have it on a mount. This way I didn't have to move the book around. So this was my first sergeant. Man, this guy was hard, man, but he was fair. This guy, man, he didn't take no crap from anyone. Real good guy. I actually touched base with him on Facebook Messenger, and he's actually still around. And didn't talk much. I don't think he's the instant messenger kind of guy. Hey, this guy, I forgot his name. Mick something. I see there on his name tape. So this is after we were coming out of the desert so we could redeploy back to the States. These were our bunks. And this was like in a very large warehouse kind of dorm setting. Kind of like a prison, but it was Army style. Here we have Holder. I'm not sure what happened to Holder. This was our lieutenant. This was one of our tents. I believe it's a GP large. So this guy right here, this guy got kicked out of the Army. He went AWOL sometime after we got back. It might have been after a year, but I was stationed at Fort Stewart. I was in Alpha Battery for about 3.5 years, and then I went to Korea. And then when I got to Fort Riley after Korea, we got deployed to Iraq in 2003. Oh, okay, yeah, that's the water. I remember that. We went to the beach, too, on this trip with the MWR. Here's some more camel jockeys. The real camel jockeys, and I don't mean that in a mean way, but they were actually camel jockeys doing a little camel race. Camel races are actually pretty awesome. If you ever get a chance to watch one in person, do it. You will never forget it. There's that guy. There's that guy again who went AWOL. There's some buildings in Kuwait City. So this was the bunker. This was at the point that our bunker was almost done because we were afraid that we would get a Scud missile attack, but we never even got a warning. I mean, it never happened. We built a bunker for I don't know. I guess, I guess like the first sergeant says, training. They gave us something to do, so we made sandbags. This guy was the sharp foreman. So this guy right here, back then he was a Staff Sergeant Prelude. I saw this guy at Fort Bliss about the year 2017, 18, I want to say, and he was a Command Sergeant Major. I saw him on a run. He was running one way, and I was running the other way. I got out of formation. He got out of his formation. We shook hands. We hugged. We talked for about a minute, and then we said, "See ya." And then we went back to our formations. There was our commander, that is Captain Kripowitz. I actually have a picture of the unit sign from way back then. So this guy right here, he was our warrant officer, Mr. Stevens. Man, that guy was cool. There is our command team again. There's another Fox vehicle. And there it is again. So you see here something, it looks like an A on the end, but this says 9th ADA Battalion. So like I said, these vehicles came from a draw yard, so it wouldn't have our information on there. I don't think we changed any of that. Just kind of left them as they were. I believe some of our vehicles just had tape, like to cover up the old info, and we put on our own unit info on the tape. Another sunset in Kuwait. Got a picture of an Abrams doing stuff. There is Brown again. There's D's again. Okay, Matson, the guy who was trying to think of the name. His name is Matson. There is Spangler. There is a Staff Sergeant Jones, Specialist Davis. I'm trying to think of his name. LeBrown, something with the L. Here is the First Sergeant again. Okay, there's our bunker. There is the bunker when it's built. You go in one way, you go out the other. These guys posing for the photo. There's Brown again. There's Davis. You know what? I might have got his name wrong, but I believe his name was Brown. I'm pretty sure of it. And his name was, I believe, was Brown too. You know, Brown's a pretty common name. Now his name was Davis for sure. McClure might have been this guy's name. Here's one of our LTs. Here's another one of our LTs. He was actually my LT. There's D's goofing off. D's on the left. Matson on the right. That guy annoyed the crap out of me. Okay, this guy was my supervisor. Okay, he was the supply sergeant This guy gave me good advice, so he gave me a talk. He chewed me out one day. I had to go work. I used to work with him because I was a 92 Alpha. My main job was working a warehouse or the motor pool, and I worked for him for a while, and sometimes he would request me to go help him out. And I remember I didn't have a notepad or a pen on me, and he chewed me out. And ever since then, today I'm 45 years old, and ever since then, if I'm wearing a uniform, I now work in a prison, and I always have a notepad and a pen or pencil on me, always. This guy was actually my roommate in the barracks. So this is about it. Man, it's going to take a while to load up this video, but I had fun. I had lots of fun making it. There is Brown again. He's in a deuce and a half. I actually used to drive that thing. Well, that's all I got, folks. If you liked what you saw, please give me a like. Everybody have a good day. Good night. God bless America.